Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's tutorial, we are going to be learning how to embroider eyes onto your amigurumi. Now, there are so many different ways to do this. This is not the only way, but this is the way that I've been using and I really like it and I wanted to share it with you guys. So I have worked up a swatch here. I'm making a new stuffy and I thought I would show you how I do the eyes on this guy. Now we're also going to need some cotton yarn. I find cotton is the best to use for our detailing because it doesn't shed or like fluff as much as acrylic yarn. You can use either or, but you just may find that the acrylic yarn like fluffs off a lot easier. So we're going to need 2 strands of white. It really doesn't matter the length. I like to go a little bit longer just in case. I'd rather have too much than not enough. So I usually do about 12 inches of white, which is way too much, I know, but again, I like to have too much, and probably like 16 to 18 inches of the black. We're also going to need a darning needle and some scissors. So once we have gathered all of our supplies, we can jump into the tutorial. All right, so I have my swatch here and I've just brought you guys in closer. Now for this project, I'm making our unicorn pattern, which may or may not be out when you see this video. But for this pattern, we want to attach our eyes onto rounds 9 and 10 of the head with about 5 to 6 stitches in between. So the first thing that sometimes I like to do is I like to just mark with fabric pins. So I'm going to count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So here's round 9 and here's round 10. And then I'm going to place some over here as well. So we're going to do from the top of round 9 to the bottom of round 10. That's where we're going to place our eyes. Now, you of course want to pick the best side to place your eyes before you place them. So whatever looks the best, has the least holes, is the most symmetrical, that's the side you want to do. Especially if you have color changing in your project, you want to make sure the color changing is on the back. So once I've picked my side here, I'm going to just see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's about 6 stitches in between my eyes. So that's probably about where I'm going to place them. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my black yarn here and I'm going to go in from the side of the head to my spot here that I've marked. Next, I'm going to go into this top spot that I've marked, remove my pin, and all I'm going to do is push that back into the same spot I started, just like that. Now we're going to repeat this. Now, how many times you repeat this, I feel like is a personal preference. I find I usually try and do about 8 at least, but you can do more, you can do less. It really depends on the look you're going for. But I'm just trying to fill in the space. And you don't want to pull too tight, but you also don't want to leave it too loose that it's going to pull. And I'm just kind of guiding the yarn. So, you know, this piece I wanted to sit over there. There's a little bit of white right here, so I'd like to cover that up. So I'm going to try and guide my yarn to be over top of that piece. And of course you may get some stuffing out just like I am. And I'm just going to do one more, I think. Right there. And there is the base for our eye. So now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to push my work over here. And I'm not going to tie it off because I'm going to be needing this black yarn again. Now I did 8 loops, so that's just important to remember just so that you can do the same on the other side. And all I'm going to do is just insert my darn needle underneath and just pull them a little bit so they're all equal. I'm trying to get some of that stuffing out that I pulled through by accident. Now I'm going to take off my darning needle here. Now in this situation, because my project is white, this part isn't necessary, but I'm going to show you anyways, just so you can see it. Next, we want to do the detail on the outside of the eye as well as the inside of the eye. So I'm going to take my white yarn and I'm going to insert it again at the top, exact same spot where I am on the other one for the black. And then I'm going to bring this down and back up again. And I want to guide this piece of yarn to sit on the outside. This is going to be a little white eye detail right there. Again, I apologize, this is on white, but you can see it right there. And that's just going to sit right on the outside. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to stick our darning needle right in the center between rounds 9 and 10 and in the center of our eye. And I'm just going to push that over to the white again. And this is going to add that little white eye detail there, just like that. I'm all done with my white, so I can tie this off. And you don't want to pull too tight when you tie off, because especially if, like me, you're using a plushier yarn, sometimes it can get lost. Just going to cut my yarn here and weave in those ends. Go. Now next we're going to take our black yarn again, and I'm going to push it back into the top of where we started everything. Now this part is kind of dependent again on what you're making. You can just do one piece. I usually go down about 1 row and over about 1.5 stitches to about right there. And I'll pull that through, and this is kind of like a little eyelash. Or if you wanted, I'm just going to put this back on. You could do it a little bit smaller, so just over a stitch, and then back up into that loop there. Just have to direct this yarn and then up here. So that you kind of have like a double eyelash, if that makes sense. So it kind of just depends on what your personal preference is. But that is how you embroider your eye. So I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Once I'm all done with my black yarn, I can tie this off and weave it in the same way. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the exact same thing to the other side here. And there we have our eyes embroidered on. Now, once our eyes are embroidered, the last thing I like to do is just do a little bit of face shaping with the eyes just to bring them in a little bit. So in order to do that, I just have some black, this is like a 1-2 weight yarn, cotton, but you can use anything really. And what we're going to do is we're going to insert it back into that top piece right here on the first eye, and we're going to push it all the way into that same spot on the second eye. I'm going to pull that. Now with this one still attached, we're going to go down into the bottom of this eye, and we're going to push that to the back of the head here. And I just want to make sure that this is sitting all the way on the inside of the eye. Now I'm going to take my darning needle and I'm going to put it on the other eye. And I'm going to do the same thing down into the bottom of this eye, and I'm going to push it out the back. Now I have mine offsetting because this whole back piece here is going to be covered by the unicorn mane. So it's okay if there's a bit of an indent, but if this is going to be open in your project, then you're going to want to have them in the same stitch. But basically all we're going to do is we're just going to pull this a little bit, and if you can see, it's just going to bring in your eyes a little bit. It's not a big thing, but it does make a big difference. It adds that little bit of depth to the nose, and I just find that it adds that little bit of character. I'm just going to tie this on the back here, and I'm just going to keep pulling this slightly until I'm happy with it. Go. And then I'm just going to tie a knot here like that, and cut that and weave these in. Now, as you can see, it did create this little indent here on the back. That's what I mean. If you are going to have this out and people are going to be able to see this part of the project, you don't want this indent, so just keep them in the same stitch. But because this part for me is going to be covered up, I don't care if there's a little bit of an indent. All right, and that is how we embroider our eyes for our amigurumi. I hope this tutorial was helpful for you guys. If you have any other video suggestions, please let us know in the comments down below. We hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and we hope it was helpful for you. We hope you guys have a lovely day, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.